Hi, and welcome to this first in this short series, which is an introduction to the programme Permission to Be You, which I'm launching in January. And these short videos are just to give you a little bit of a flavour for the sort of thing that we'll be talking about during the programme, and just so that you can meet me a little bit and get some idea about what we'll be talking about as we go through this programme. And what I want to talk about today is you are not your thinking. And the reason that I want to start with this is because it's something that when you see it immediately makes a difference in how you approach life. And that doesn't mean it makes a difference all the time. It doesn't make a difference all the time to me. Sometimes I forget that I'm not my thinking. But when you know that, you very much more quickly drop out of thought storms that can keep us all kind of caught up, sometimes for days and weeks. And I just find that happens for shorter periods of time, much shorter now that I know that thinking is just something that comes and goes. And this subject came to my mind particularly last week because I was chatting with a friend who's struggling with all sorts of difficult things going on in her life, and she said to me, sometimes I'm just really horrible to these other people. Sometimes I'm really caring and lovely, but sometimes I'm just awful. And that's totally understandable because she's under a lot of strain. But what she seemed most concerned about was, she said, and I'm just worried that I am that horrible person. I am that awful when I say all those really horrible things, that actually that's who I really am. And the rest of it, when I'm being kind and supportive, that maybe that's just an act. And what I said to her, because I know this to be absolutely true, is that's not who you are, that horrible person. In fact, neither of those things is who you really are, because who you really are is deeper than all of that. And sometimes your thinking will be really revved up and you'll be really stressed and you'll be irritated by everything that somebody says, and probably you're overtired and all this stuff's going on, and thinking is just getting so shaken up in your head that we all do things that we wish we hadn't and say things that we regret later on. But that's because we had a head full of noisy thinking. It doesn't mean it's who we are. And sometimes we're much calmer and we're able to make better decisions. And that's coming from thought as well, but a clearer head, which means that who we really are is better able to shine through. The wisdom of who we are is better able to guide our judgments and our actions. But who we really are isn't either of those things, isn't those actions and those thoughts. Who we really are is a wisdom and a life force that's behind all of that. And the reason I think that knowing that, simply knowing that, is so helpful is that when we get into this thought storm of stress and anxiety, or irritation or anger with other people, or whatever it is for you, we don't need to worry that that's who we are and that there's something wrong with us. Because what happens when we think that is that becomes another thing on our plate to deal with. Oh, and I'm just a horrible person, or oh, and there's something wrong with me that I need to fix, as well as all these problems I've got to deal with. I am a problem. That's just not true. So that's something you can immediately take off your mind. And as you'll know if you've worked with me at all, or if you've read or listened to my podcast, I'm in the business of helping you to take stuff off your mind. Because the way that we live an easier, more peaceful, happier life is not to intellectually fix all our problems and think our way out of them and logically reason things through. It's by taking stuff off our mind and allowing this aspect of who we really are deep down inside, our connection to universal intelligence, to guide us more and more. The less we've got on our mind, the less busy our thinking, the more able we are to do that. So you are definitely not your thinking, and thinking comes and goes. And when we worry that we are our thinking, we tend to get very, very involved with the thinking, and inadvertently then we end up hanging on to it because we're busy looking at it and trying to fix it. When you know that thought is just something that comes and goes, and that if you're in a thought storm, if you're feeling very caught up, very stressed, very irritated, angry, anxious, anything like that, that's turning you inwards and getting you feeling really worked up, then the problem is you've got too much thinking going on. And trying to fix that is just going to make it worse. So just take a step back, because you're not your thinking, and that thinking will pass, and something new will be along.